Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm your host, out of Alexandria, Virginia, Andrew Becker. On today's episode, I have someone that I met a couple months ago in Nashville at Tom Kroll's Coaching Inc. event, Toni Counts from StartVirtual. Welcome,
Hi,
Toni.
everybody. Hey,
Thank you
how
so
are
much for
you?
being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I know you're Tom Kroll's personal bookkeeper, Pace Corby's personal bookkeeper, but tell us about yourself, what you do, just kind of high level for those listening that might not know who you are.
Awesome. Yeah. So, like he said, my name is Toni Counts, and I have a bookkeeping service. I am the personal bookkeeper for Pace Morby. I'm also the controller for Tom Kroll and Coaching Inc. And I work with a few other high level entrepreneurs just like them. And then I also have a bookkeeping service where we help a lot of business owners, no matter what stage they are in their business, with affordable bookkeeping services.
Very cool. So before we get into the bookkeeping services part, tell us how you got started in this. I know you mentioned Pace and Tom, who are in real estate or real estate, close to the real estate industry, but also just coaching. Are you in real estate? Are you just in bookkeeping? Like, how did you come about being a bookkeeper?
So I've just been in the accounting industry since 2002. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, and I've owned my own business a few times in between working corporate roles of accounting. And how I actually got into this industry is I started out working for Wholesaling Inc. My daughter was graduating high school, and I wanted to change because I no longer had to be local to, pick her up and drop her off. So I wanted to change careers, change jobs, and I was, looking for all the job openings near me. And I happened to come across one where they were looking for an executive assistant, but in the description, there was a lot of like accounting responsibilities. So
Yeah,
I was like, I can do all of this and I can easily learn how to manage a calendar, even though I've never done it before. So
right.
lo and behold, it was a job opportunity to be the executive assistant for Tom Kroll and to work for Wholesaling Inc. Yeah, so I had never even knew about this whole lifestyle of entrepreneurs, like building businesses from home and
Yeah.
working with virtual assistants. It was actually Tom's virtual assistant that reached out to me to schedule the interview. And I was like, what is a virtual assistant? I've never heard of this. And
Yeah.
then the interview was to take place at Starbucks. And I'm like, why are we meeting at Starbucks? This is so weird. I thought it was a scam. And I
It
almost didn't
sounds like
go.
you're about to get scammed, but it turned out to not be a
Yes,
scam and lead to something
it
pretty
turned out to
cool.
be the best opportunity of my life. So, and
Yeah.
I almost didn't go to the job interview because I was gonna go on my lunch break and just kind of like work it in there because I was still working. And I was like so busy that day. And I'm like, man, I don't want to just go drive to Starbucks. This sounds fishy anyway. But then I
Was
was like,
it,
you know
just to
what?
clarify, Tony, was this to meet at Starbucks to talk to the personal assistant or
No,
supposedly Tom?
to be interviewed by Tom. Yes.
Okay, okay. That makes a
Yeah.
little bit more sense. Okay.
Yes. So, and the whole time I'm like trying to Google like the business name and I can't
Yeah.
find like an office address. There's like nothing about the business locally. I'm like, what is going on? So anyway, I'm having a bad day at work and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go. If anything, I'm going to get a free coffee out of it. So I go and I meet Tom and he's like this amazing person that's just so like energetic and bubbly. Like, you know how Tom's
Yeah.
personality is. And immediately, like we clicked, and I started working for him. I put in my 2 week notice, started working for Tom, and then through Tom is where I met Pace, and then through Pace is where I met like a whole bunch of entrepreneurs in Arizona, and everything just blew up from there.
Very cool. So, Tony, I don't know if I told you this when we met in Nashville, but 7 or 8 years ago, when I was in my sales team running operations, we went through Wholesaling Inc. So I'm not sure if me
Really?
and you might have crossed paths when we were
Oh
doing
my
it.
gosh!
When did you start there?
I started there in February 2019.
2019. So what is 8 years ago? It's 2025. So we were in there in 17.
Okay.
Did it for about, so maybe we were out by the time that you came in, but that's when I first met Tom and Brent because we did Wholesaling Inc. and then we also did TTP. And
Okay.
it's really,
Wow.
I was telling Tom and Brent this in Nashville, is really funny. How I got back into kind of their world is one of my friends sent me, my actual business partner sent me this podcast, Coaching Inc. And I was like, what's Coaching
Okay.
Inc.? This sounds like wholesaling Inc., like something
Yeah.
I did. And it was like hosted by Tom Kroll. And I was like, Tom Kroll. So that's when I called, I reached out to him. We hopped on a call. I signed up like on the spot for Coaching Inc. And he was like, oh, you should come to Nashville. And I was like, cool, when is it? And he was like, in 2 days. So I drove the next day down to Nashville, and that's where we met. So it's just really
Yeah.
funny to see in like so many old faces and familiar
Right.
faces in that community. So it's just like a fate kind of thing. But
Yes, for
really, really
sure.
cool to hear that you started in wholesaling Inc. and now you're in
Yeah,
Coaching Inc. and how, our
exactly.
worlds collide. It actually is kind of a small world when you really think about it.
It really is. Yeah, it's definitely a small circle, and I feel like only the strong survive. Like, especially, from 8 years ago, if you're still seeing like the same faces,
Yeah, yeah,
those are the ones that are like really being successful in their businesses. Because people come
exactly.
and go in this industry, like they give up or they just, things happen and they have to go back to a W-2 job. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, the barrier to entry to real estate is relatively low. I mean, not to make this about that, but I think that's why. Everyone
yeah,
wants to get in and make their money really quick, but they don't actually realize that it's a real business and you have to treat it like
exactly.
one, and
Yes,
then
for
they
sure.
wind up bailing out. But anyways, let's talk more about Start Virtual. Tell us where that came from. Are you, where are did you start that company, and then like what do you do specifically for people?
So, Start Virtual was actually a company that was owned by one of my bookkeeping clients. And
Okay.
at the time, they were just providing virtual assistants for real estate, but it was at that time when it started, that's when like the real estate industry was booming. Like that's when people were like in and out of flips under 60 days, right? So I was doing the bookkeeping for Start Virtual, just watching the growth of that. And we kind of just had this idea like, hey, you're doing great at the bookkeeping here. We have all these virtual assistants. We should build out a department where we're providing bookkeeping services for other businesses like ours. And I was like, that's actually a really great idea. They sourced the first bookkeeper virtual assistant through Start Virtual, and I kind of worked one-on-one with her, and I showed her like how to do the books for Pace, how to do the books for other like um, entrepreneurs that were moving at a very fast rate. And
Right.
she caught on instantly. Like she was amazing. Like, I could just send her Loom videos of how to do a journal entry for like a JV deal with all these partners in it, and she would just like send it back to me complete within 5 minutes. And it was all correct. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So that bookkeeper, the first hire, she actually trained the next three that came on. And then it just kind of like grew like that. Like the next three got trained, and then we brought on more, and then we brought on more. And then now we have this huge department of bookkeepers. There's probably like about 50 bookkeepers and bookkeeper managers. They're all overseas.
Wow.
And we have, I would say, about 300 clients, and maybe about 80% of them are real estate investors. I'm heavily involved with the entire team. So I actually, I'm one of those people that just love working with numbers, like
Yeah.
put me in the corner with some spreadsheets and leave me alone, and I'm fine. Like, I love that.
That sounds like the opposite of what I would like
And you
say
know
that I
what?
love doing.
Honestly, yeah, that's how a lot of the entrepreneurs are. Like that's the last thing on their mind is bookkeeping. Like they're so amazing at going out and like talking to sellers and making deals and turning a profit. But when it comes to the numbers, like they don't even want to think about it. They put it off to the back burner. Like I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are finally like to their wits end where they're like, you know what? I've been ignoring it for so long. And they get to a point where they're even afraid to reach out to a bookkeeper because they're embarrassed of what they've done and not kept organized. And I tell people all the time, like, don't be embarrassed. I'm like, we see it all, we
Yeah,
see everything. So
I'm sure. I'm sure you see from like zero effort to like just a tangle of like numbers and
yeah.
accounts all over the place that you have to come in and fix. But
Oh
once
yeah.
it's fixed, and I'm sure you're very on top of it, how different is it from like not
Yeah.
knowing anything to like being crystal clear on your numbers?
So just take a look at Tom Kroll and Pace Morby and how much they've accomplished. And that's because they have everything on the back end completely organized where they don't have to worry about it. And that's like, even Pace will tell people, like, when I first started doing his books, he was already like 2-3 years in of like just doing all these deals, and there was no bookkeeping, like everything running in and out of one entity, stuff
Yeah.
everywhere. So when I met him through Tom, it was about 6 months later, he got his first Airbnb, and he remembered the conversation we had where I told him I had a bookkeeping business. So he called me and he's like, "Hey, I just got my first Airbnb. I'm still trying to build out this sub two community." He's like, "Can I connect you with Noah, who's running my Airbnb, doing the property management for it, and then you guys just kind of take it over?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah." So that's how it all started, where I started working for him. And then I took on all of the bookkeeping for all of his partnerships and personal entities and things like that. But he'll tell you himself, like, knowing that everything on the back end is taken care of, like that just gives you like the confidence to just go and do more.
Yeah, one less thing to have to worry about.
Exactly. Yes.
And it's time consuming, it can be, and it's very chaotic sometimes, especially
Yeah.
if you don't know how to organize it.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. I like to tell people it's a low dollar per hour task. So like if you're the entrepreneur of your business, you should be focusing on higher revenue tasks instead of like wasting hours trying to figure out your bookkeeping, when you can just outsource it for a fraction of. You have to, at that point, you got to put a value on your time. So if it's going to take
Exactly.
you 5 hours to even like set up the QuickBooks when it
Yeah,
takes us like 15 minutes,
yeah.
like it just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, 100%. You're singing my language or talking my
Yeah.
language right now, singing my tune. Tony, you mentioned QuickBooks. Like, does it matter with you, like what people use? Like, walk us through, like, let's say I have multiple companies and I want you guys to take over my QuickBooks. Can you walk everyone through like what that looks like, the time frame, how long it takes to, you mentioned 15 minutes setting up QuickBooks, but like I'd imagine there's a little bit more than that. Can you walk us through the process that you would do like a consultation or onboarding?
Yeah. So once we have the conversation and figure out like what exactly you need, like, do you need to start from fresh with a new QuickBooks, or do you have an existing QuickBooks?
Do
From
you only
there,
work on QuickBooks, Tony, or do you use anything else?
so we do use other platforms. So our basic level of bookkeeping service, we do only use QuickBooks Online. But if you have like a premium service from us, where basically you're kind of getting like your own bookkeeper that just works for you and your entities, we can accommodate other bookkeeping platforms. Yeah, but for our basic level, just to keep like all the trainings and everything consistent, we're just working off QuickBooks
Okay.
Online. Yeah.
So can we pause there for 1 second? If someone wants to hire you guys to do bookkeeping, there's two options, or maybe a third one, I don't know. But kind of fall into this blanket, like here's QuickBooks, here's how it will work. You don't really have a dedicated bookkeeper, but our systems and processes are the same. Or you have a premium service where I could have Nancy or Tom just work for Andrew,
Yeah.
and they're my like personal.
Exactly. That is exactly correct. Yes. Yes. So the difference there is that the personal bookkeeper of yours is just working with you and no other clients. But
Okay,
if you come into our basic service, you will have a personal bookkeeper still, but they're probably working with like 7 to 8 other clients. So your
gotcha.
books are part of like their daily workload rotation.
They have a portfolio of other people's.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we're allocating just, a fraction of the day towards your books, which is more than enough. I mean,
Right.
if you have conversations with people, a lot of people don't have like an in-house bookkeeper because, for one, bookkeepers want to work full time. So bookkeeping really does not take that long to do. But if you're somebody like, like Pace Morby that has like a million entities, then you need a more customizable service, because then it is going to take probably a 40-hour work week to get through everything that's going on.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, can we get back into like the process? I didn't mean to cut
Sure.
you
Yeah,
off.
yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah. So we'll get you onboarded. And if you don't have QuickBooks yet, we'll set up the QuickBooks for you during the onboarding. When we get to the part where you have to connect your business bank account or business credit cards, we walk you through that part, because that takes the primary login for that. And once everything's connected, let's say you have to have all of 2025 cleaned up. So we would have QuickBooks connect the accounts to pick up everything from January 1st forward. So that's going to dump in all those transactions. And that's how we'll begin to get all your bookkeeping organized and start building out your financial reports. And the good thing about that is because I have onboarded a lot of entrepreneurs that have started their own QuickBooks by themselves. And if you don't know how to do that, it's very, very easy to mess it up. And the thing with bookkeeping is that when you make one error, it kind of snowballs into a whole bunch of errors. And then you got
Yeah.
to kind of like backtrack to figure out like, where did this error originate from? Yeah. So that's what happens when people try to set up their own QuickBooks and they're not familiar with it. So by having us do it, like we're making sure we're putting in the appropriate chart of accounts that aligns with your business model too.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then that's the QuickBooks software would be yours to keep. So like let's say a year from now, maybe somebody you hire an executive assistant and she knows how to do bookkeeping. You're like, hey, I'm going to take my bookkeeping to my executive assistant. Then that bookkeeping software is yours that was set up by us. All you would have to do is remove us as a user and then add the new person as a user too.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So you come in, I don't have QuickBooks, you set up QuickBooks, you attach all the accounts, and then how does it look like working with you guys day in and day out? Are you sending like reports, updates? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so I always encourage our new clients, especially if we're working on like an entire year of data for you. I always encourage our new clients, like, have a weekly touch point meeting with your bookkeeping team. And that can be anywhere from like 15 to 20 minutes. And that's just gonna, that's gonna help us to be able to get some answers from you for things that we might not be able to identify in QuickBooks. So, like, for example, if you're sending Venmo payments to contractors, when it comes through QuickBooks, it just says Venmo. So we don't really know like the nature of that transaction. Or if you're purchasing a fix and flip and you got an overage at the closing, so you have a deposit in, so we need to get the HUD statement. So those are documents that we would request from you. Or if you're paying mortgages for your rental properties, we would need your mortgage statements to break out the principal and interest. So just having like that meeting just kind of
Yeah.
sets the tone to understand like what are the things that we're going to need from you regularly. And then also, it gives you an opportunity to see like the progress that we've done in your books. We can walk you through your P&L and balance sheet and kind of explain to you like how everything is set up, where everything is going. Yeah. So, and then once we work with you for, we start to get familiar with each other, like you get familiar with the way we're doing your books and we get familiar with the way you're doing business. Those meetings don't have to be as often. We will at the end of closing your month, we'll send you a report directly from QuickBooks. If you're in our basic package, we'll send the reports directly from QuickBooks. But if you're in a premium offer of ours, we can actually build out like outside reports for you too. So like if you have like, let's say you have a whole portfolio of rental properties, we can create and keep updated like a schedule of real estate. And we can do like a separate like fix and flip profit and loss for you outside of QuickBooks. So there's a lot of templates that we already have. Like we have Airbnb reporting templates. So we have a lot of clients that they manage Airbnbs for other people. And so
Yeah.
we help them like build out that template so that they can send like the owner reports to their clients.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. How important is it for like someone like me who might want to get into Airbnb or doing fixes and flips and QuickBooks to have someone on the team like you guys who have like been there, done that? And the learning curve is probably like nothing for me to say, hey, can you just take this over and it's done the right way? I'm sure so
Yeah.
many people appreciate that who come into your world.
Yeah. So I always tell people like if you are doing anything with purchasing or selling properties, you absolutely have to have a bookkeeper because that is just a whole different layer of bookkeeping. So if you're just a consultant and you're like, consulting services and you just have like some overhead expenses, that's simple bookkeeping. That's just revenue in, expenses out. But once you factor in properties, now you're like, you have to create the asset on the balance sheet. You have to create the mortgage liability or any private money loans that has to go on the balance sheet too. There's just a whole different layer there that a lot of people aren't aware of. And
Yeah.
one of the common mistakes I see from entrepreneurs that are in the real estate industry purchasing properties and trying to do their own books is let's say, we go back to that example where you purchase a property and then you get an overage at closing, right? So that money comes into the business bank account. And what I see is people using that deposit as the value of the asset, which is absolutely incorrect.
Yeah.
So the value of the asset is going to be the purchase price of the property. But the only way to get that on your books is to create an entire journal entry off of that closing statement that you receive at closing.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
importance of having someone who knows what they're talking about handle bookkeeping, because that was way over my head.
I
But
know, and
I can see how
yes.
important it is. That's awesome, Toni. So, Toni, how much, like, what does it look like working with you guys? Like, how much does it cost to be the basic versus the premium? And then if someone wants to learn a little bit more about Start Virtual and what you guys do and bookkeeping services, how do they get in touch with you?
Okay, yeah. So like I said in the beginning, we have like all these packages depending on where you are with your business. So we want to make bookkeeping affordable for everybody because there's this huge misconception that, when you think about having a bookkeeper, you think like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to pay like 4,000 a month for someone to come in. What are they even going to do? I don't think I have that much work for them.
Yeah.
So that's not true. Like we have a system where we want to make sure that bookkeeping is affordable for everybody. So we have prices starting as low as $197 per month. And then that's going to be our basic package. And that's what we call our new venture plan. So if you have a business less than 12 months old and you're doing something that doesn't involve purchasing properties, like maybe you have a coaching business or you're a consultant or even a realtor, we could do your bookkeeping for you for $197 per month. And that's creating the QuickBooks for you and everything. But if you're somebody like, let's say, Pace Morby, and you have like, a million entities and they're all doing like a lot of activity, that you would want to have somebody a little more customizable to you. And for that one, we have like a flat monthly rate that starts from like 1,000 a month to 2,000 a month.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah,
that's kind
depending
of
on
like
how much
cap,
time.
maybe?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is that kind of like the cap?
Oh yeah,
Obviously, it
the
depends
cap.
on how
Yes.
much you do, though.
Yeah, the
Okay.
cap is 2,000 for sure.
Okay.
And then we
Gotcha.
also work with other bookkeeping and accounting businesses. So we have some clients and they have their own like CPA or accounting businesses, and they come to us for fulfillment to do the bookkeeping side for their clients.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. So it starts as little as 197 per month for a true expert. It's clear that you guys know what, you can definitely tell that you've been there and have been through the weeds there.
Yeah.
197 all the way up to like a 2K, 1 or 2K.
Yeah.
How does somebody connect with you, Toni, if they want to chat? Do you do like consultations? How does that work?
Yeah. So I do consultations and I also do. So if you have an existing QuickBooks account and you're working with a bookkeeper right now and you're not sure if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, I do offer free audits on your QuickBooks accounts. So you can contact me. You can email me, Toni@startvirtual.com. And you can also find me on Facebook under Toni Counts, or you can find me on Instagram at Toni Counts Numbers. I have people reach out to me through all different sources, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
It's
I think
really
like tax season's about to
Yes,
start. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So right now, it usually starts like mid-November and then it picks up a lot more in December where people are just like, I really got to do something about it this year. I told myself I'm not going to go through this again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I've
yeah.
been there definitely before. But Toni,
Yeah.
this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me and being on the show.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. I love talking about bookkeeping.
are you, out of curiosity, I'm going to be in Orlando for Tom's next day. Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll definitely
Okay,
be
so we'll
there.
have to
Yeah.
definitely catch up again.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. If I don't talk to you between now and then, happy holidays, happy New Year's.
Oh,
We're,
you
approaching the end of
too.
the year here.
Yes. Happy holidays to you as well.
All right, take care.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.